Hello, toxins and parasites of America, Europe, and the world at large. Hello, horrified onlookers. This is Common Filth Radio, episode number 64. The long-awaited third volume of my Bandcamp series, Tumblristas Raw, is out right now as we speak. $2 or more. You can pay more if you want, but $2 is the minimum cost. You get 6 brand new episodes of Tumblristas available exclusively on Bandcamp. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide, but I think it is some of the best work I have done to date. At least it's the most vicious work I've done to date, but I'll let you be the judge of that. So we got a story here, and this is from, this is out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and it goes like this. Sorry about that. It goes like this. An HIV-positive Harrisburg man is headed to trial on charges. He raped a 6-year-old child at his residence while another man recorded the incident. The defense attorney for 61-year-old Ira Task declined to comment after his client waived a preliminary hearing on Wednesday. Task was arrested last month by North Middleton Township Police after investigators saw a streaming video of the rape on a video conferencing website in July. Police eventually identified Task based on a gold ring he was wearing, as well as other physical characteristics. They say he has since acknowledged raping the boy in interviews. A co-defendant, 19-year-old Williams Byers Augusta, is charged with bringing the boy to Task's residence on April 20th, where the boy was given amyl nitrite, an inhaled drug used to intensify a sexual experience. That man is also awaiting trial. Now, amyl nitrite is not something I don't think I ever heard of before. I don't remember hearing it. Maybe I've heard it in a different name, so what I did was I paused the recording. I typed it into tumblr.com/tagged/amyl-nitrite. And here's what I have found. And by the way, before you say, it's Tumblr's fault, it's just Tumblr people, shut the fuck up and let me tell you this. If it's just Tumblr people, why can't I find the same kind of people on Twitter and Facebook? If I can find the same people using pretty much anything that anybody uses, it's the people, not this kind of people. People that use this kind of website. So, let me read this. Photograph with a caption. Amyl nitrite is a prescription capsule drug used in the treatment of angina pectoris, heart disease. It is amyl nitrite, or poppers, as it is known in slang terminology, is inhaled through either the nose or the mouth. After inhalation, the user experiences a quickened heartbeat and the sensation of blood rushing to his head. Amyl nitrite is especially popular on dance floors and immediately prior to sexual climax. Since amyl nitrite is available only by prescription, manufacturers have created a number of commercial substitutes as well as a variety of inhalers. Although amyl is used by heterosexuals, its immense popularity among gays has earned it the title the gay drug. So now that we know the context for that particular story, let's move on to the next one. A female PE teacher admits sex acts with 2 teenage girls who were all found in bed together. Sandrine Brown, 31, has pleaded guilty to 1 count of inciting a child to engage in sexual activity and 5 counts of sexual activity with a child. Same love, a former PE teacher is facing jail after she admitted having a sexual relationship with 2 teenage girls. Okay, I just read that. What fucking... Do these people not know how to organize their content? It's like, let's put this in the sub-headline, whatever the fuck you call that, and then let's repeat it over and over again. Once is enough. A court heard there was an occasion where Brown and the 2 youngsters were all in bed together, although no sexual activity happened that time. Brown of Stoke, Coventry, admitted inciting one underage girl to engage in sexual activity while she was in a position of trust as a teacher. She also pleaded guilty to 3 charges relating to sexual activity with the same girl when she was aged between 14 and 16. The final 2 counts of sexual activity with a child while in a position of trust relate to the other teenager when she was aged 16 and 17. Brown denied 2 further charges of sexual activity in relation to the 2 teens. The basis of her pleas were accepted at the hearing at Warwick Crown Court on Thursday. Prosecutor Graham Simpson said there is evidence that there was an occasion when all 3 were in bed together, but no evidence of any sexual activity on that occasion. Adjourning the case for a pre-sentence report to be prepared, Judge Andrew Lockhart said, "The court is dealing here with a teacher who has abused the position of trust she was given by the Education Authority by reason of the position she took. It involves a gross breach of trust. These are often matters of complex relationships which develop over a period of time and become confused. But it is a very serious matter, as she has no doubt been told." Lee Marklew, defending, said Brown was of hitherto good character. She was granted bail until her sentencing on November 27th and has been ordered to attend a police station and register as a sex offender. Brown, who used to work at Finham Park School in Coventry, was arrested by West Midlands Police in April this year. In a letter sent to parents of pupils at the secondary school, executive head teacher Mark Bailey said, "We can confirm that no present pupils were involved. We can also confirm that Miss Brown no longer works at Finham Park School. At Finham Park School, we take our safeguarding responsibilities extremely seriously and worked closely with the police and the local authority throughout their investigations. Given that criminal proceedings are ongoing, we are unable to make any further comment." What's the age of consent in England? Oh, 16. 16. That's reasonable. And 2 years ago, just 2 short years ago, they were trying to lower it to 15. And the article saying the Prime Minister rejecting the effort to lower it to 15 actually has a handy age of consent side panel. Australia, 16 or 17 depending on territory. Canada, 16. Germany, 14. My proud heritage. My proud, wonderful heritage. Because children take so well to being used as sexual objects far before they should be making any sort of decisions of any importance. And people are surprised to find out that Europe has lost its goddamn mind. Ireland, 17. Italy, 14. Romania, 18. Sweden, 15. I saw a screenshot a couple years ago about there's this guy bragging about, is a Spanish guy, and he's bragging about how introducing kids to sex is a good thing at an early age. And look, here's a picture of me and my boyfriend, and it's like a 13-year-old kid, and this guy's like 26 or some shit. But hey, just a small, minor, incidental detail that doesn't mean anything, and you should just shut up and stop being irrational because, well, these people, they're on our side. And it couldn't be at all their interest in Europe's alarmingly low age of consent, right? What does it say about the spirit of a people that they will write legislation to appease its regional NAMBLA lobby? So let's move on. Hate facts, hate speech, hate thought, hate facts. Stop, please stop, please stop. Oh my God, please stop. Wow, just wow. What else do we have here? From Breitbart.com, very ironic coming from them that they're reporting on this. LA is number 1 in STDs. Well, if you take the bus over to West Hollywood, you'll find that STDs there are no longer STDs, but they're actually airborne. Yeah, I hear you could actually get AIDS just by breathing in the air over there. And semi-related, this was sent to me from Neil Armstrong on Twitter. From some guy named Jacob Nobles. He says, "Shout out to Daddy Charlie Sheen. Give me HIV." And this is some guy, he's shirtless and he's wearing what appears to be thong underwear. I mean, come on, clearly this guy's a cishet. I mean, how many of you cis heterosexual guys don't post topless pictures of yourself in thong underwear begging celebrities to give you the gift? So what else do we have here? Free Ottawa yoga class scrapped over cultural issues. Yeah, it can't be all HIV all the time. Sorry to disappoint you. And this is just more, oh my god, look how stupid they are, sort of things that make you feel better about how much smarter you are, and you don't think too much beyond that. Student leaders have pulled the mat out from 60 University of Ottawa students attending a free on-campus yoga class over fears the teachings could be seen as a form of cultural appropriation. Jennifer Scharf, who has been offering free weekly yoga instruction to students since 2008, says she was shocked when told in September the program would be suspended and saddened when she learned of the reasoning. Staff at the Center for Students with Disabilities believe that while yoga is a really great idea and accessible and great for students, there are cultural issues of implication involved in the practice, according to an email from the center. The center is operated by the University Student Federation, which first approached Scharf 7 years ago about offering yoga instruction to students both with and without disabilities. The center goes on to say, yoga has been under a lot of controversy lately due to how it is being practiced, and which cultures those practices are being taken from. The center official argues since many of those cultures have experienced oppression, cultural genocide, and diasporas due to colonialism and Western supremacy, we need to be mindful of this and how we express ourselves while practicing yoga. The concept of a cultural appropriation is normally applied when a dominant culture borrows symbols of a marginalized culture for dubious reasons, such as the fad of hipsters donning indigenous headdresses as a fashion statement, without any regard to cultural significance or stereotype. Well, thank you for that sermon, Aiden Helmer. Who are you? Who are you? What do you look like? I bet you look like, I'm not going to look at the monitor, my head is on the other side of the microphone right now. I bet this person looks like one of the kinds of people with the skin stretched too tightly over their skulls. Oh no, he's one of those doughy bearded glasses types. You know, the kind that says, I need feminism because I'm tired of feeling unmanly for enjoying my girlfriend's strap-on. Oh, I was in the same ballpark. He has the same sort of tendencies. Anyway, so thank you very much for that mini sermon on anti-racism and anti-colonialism in the middle of your journalistic piece, you fat red-headed fuck. This is the future. This is what needs to be done. Anytime you read some bullshit anywhere, go to the top, it'll say by so-and-so, and it's written in real small font, so you skip over it, but go back to the top, look right under the headline, click on their name, and go to town. You will find a plethora of material, and you will come up with insults you didn't even know you had in you. Remember a couple weeks ago we were reading that Everyday Feminism article? And before I got too far, I went back up and clicked on the author. Turned out she was a person of color. And when I looked at her, I'm just like, she's writing this because she's guilty about riding the white cock carousel. Turns out I was right. But what good is being right when everyone else is wrong? I do episodes of this show and Tumblristas, and everybody says, oh, it's just the Tumblr kinds of people like that. Because it exposes some very uncomfortable things about people you might consider your friends. And I get it. You don't want to let go of your social circle. But here's the problem that you and I have. I'm not going to apologize for your shitty taste in friends. So you make some rationalization that I was wrong all along because of some dumb technicality. Either it's the current year or he mentioned God. And you know who else mentions God? Muslims. Islam. Ooh, did I just blow your mind? Anyway, let's get back to where we were. Oh, by the way, fuck you, Aiden Helmer. Piece of shit. With that being established, with that being said, let's continue. But Scharf, a yoga teacher, with the downtown Rama Lotus Center, said the concept does not apply in this case, arguing the complaint that killed the program came instead from a social justice warrior with fainting heart ideologies in search of a cause célèbre. Or should I try to make that sound more French? No. People are just looking for a reason to be offended by anything they can find, said Scharf. There's a real divide between reasonable people and those people just looking to jump on a bandwagon. And unfortunately, it ends up with good people getting punished for doing good things. Well, if you don't have a standard of what's good and what's bad, you are subject to people who thrive in chaos, which is what these people are. You don't know where you stand with them from one day to the next because they have no metric by which they live their lives. They have no fucking standards. They're pigs. 2008, yoga, okay, yay. 2015, yoga is oppressive. Yoga is racist. Yoga is patronizing. Yes, stretching. Stretching. There were about 60 students who participated in the free program. Acting Student Federation President Romeo Ahimakin denied the decision resulted from a complaint. Denied the decision resulted from a complaint. Okay. You can deny things all you want, but Ahimakin said the Student Federation put the yoga session on hiatus while they consult with students to make it better, more accessible, and more inclusive to certain groups of people that feel left out in yoga-like spaces. What the fuck does that even mean? Like I said, these people are chaotic. And what is hell? Hell is a place without reason, without order, without standards. Everything is arbitrary with these people. From, oh, well, it doesn't matter who the parents are of the kid, to, it doesn't matter what my genitals are, that's how I feel, to this. A fucking yoga class. Oh, we need to make it more welcoming to people that feel left out in yoga-like spaces. What was that quote we read a couple weeks ago? I don't know if it's exactly like this, but somebody who doesn't believe in God will believe in anything. Somebody who doesn't believe in God believes that a mother and father, kid doesn't need it, it's optional. Kid doesn't need a mother and a father together. No, it's arbitrary. Person who doesn't believe in God, well, if that's how you feel, okay. Guess we should accept it. Person who doesn't believe in God believes that yoga is a form of oppression. More accessible and more inclusive to certain groups of people that feel left out in yoga-like spaces. I live in a retard-like space, which again is insulting to the actually mentally retarded, because at least they're functional. They can be functional. And they're not stupid enough to spout this bullshit and orient their lives around it. I want a retard-free space. Yet all my life, everywhere I thought I would find it, turned out to be a mirage. Continuing, and I still can't believe I'm reading this bullshit. We're trying to have those sessions done in a way in which students are aware of where these spiritual and cultural aspects come from, so that these sessions are done in a respectful manner. Disrespectful stretching, everyone. Scharf offered a compromise suggesting she change the name from yoga to mindful stretching, since that would reflect the content of the program and would literally change nothing about the course. I'm not pretending to be some enlightened yogi master, and the point of the program isn't to educate people on the finer points of the ancient yogi scripture, she told The Sun. The point is to get people to have higher physical awareness for their own physical health and enjoyment. According to email correspondence between Scharf and the center, student leaders debated rebranding the program, but stumbled over how the French translation for mindful stretching would appear on a promotional poster, and eventually decided to suspend the program. Student Federation official Julie Sagan sympathized with Scharf over email defending the use of the term yoga and saying, I am also still of the opinion that a single complaint does not outweigh all of the good that these classes have done. And you're saying that the complaint is a problem in the first place. You are accepting the chaotic terms of their whatever the fuck, their war they're waging. Sagan said labeling the CSD's yoga lessons as a cultural appropriation is questionable and debatable, and called on further discussion with the student executive. There are no conclusions, no new conclusions I can make. We know that the university should be gutted. We know that running the culture, filtering every bit of culture through academia is toxic and ruinous. So, let's do questions. Since it only receives cookie-cutter answers on the front page, currently, of Ask Reddit, what will society look down on us for in 100 years? Well, if it belongs to the Chinese, not much, because they won't care. They won't care about our history, and why should they? But to the Chinese, 100 years is actually the short term, and I don't know if world domination is in their short-term goals. Wealth certainly is, but it remains to be seen whether or not they're interested in expansion. And the reason why I bring up China when answering this question, why I'm about to bring up Islam, Muslims, Arabs, is because this question, what will society look down on in 100 years, assumes that society will have roughly the same kind of people in it. The liberalism that is inherent in European civilization, in Europeans, it's past its expiration date. You can live and let live with repentant sinners. You cannot live and let live when you invite demons into your company. Preferring the company of demons is what happens when you remain naive and neotenous for a very extended period of time. The naive and neotenous have no idea how to control their circumstances, which is what is necessary if you want to survive. And men are the only ones capable of doing this. Yet, we are content to consider women our equals. We prefer the company of demons, and the only thing we value is how our genitals make us feel. And we wonder why we are being taken over by people who are more keen to impose their will on others. So what will society look down upon in 100 years? It's impossible for any of us to know. Because society, as we know it, won't exist. Even if the shelf life were somehow to be extended. The same mistakes would repeat over and over and over and over again until there are no more people to make those mistakes. Repeating mistakes is what happens when you refuse to grow up. Next. Hi, French guy who was born from his father making a bet with his brother to marry a foreigner here. If you remember me. I do remember you. Happenings are happening in France, so I have a few insights for you. Sorry for the length of what follows. You started your previous show by mentioning how French people gave up on Christianity and spirituality. I had an interesting tale for you proving how right you are and how devilish people have become. At work, there has been a new guy who is a devoted Christian, respecting the rules as much as to look away as soon as he sees flesh on a girl to avoid temptation. In my line of work, tech support, we occasionally get rated by people who listen to the calls and check if we follow guidelines, are corporate enough, sound professional, and so on. Those people whose job produce absolutely nothing but criticism are women. Coincidence, I'm sure. Yeah, big coincidence. Well, two of those women found it amusing to dress as slutty as possible. Extra miniskirt, huge cleavage. When they went to rate him, they both stuck their legs against his and started rubbing them and kept touching his hands and shoulders as they told him what he did wrong during his call. The poor guy was embarrassed and couldn't even look down because all he would have seen would have been the open legs of the two sluts toying with him. Everybody at work found this hilarious. Making fun of someone trying to stay in the right path by behaving like a succubus is hilarious. I did not think it was funny, and I still don't understand what is so funny about it. I sadly don't have faith, but if I had it, I'd say this looks a lot like the devil's work. This is against Christianity, but strangely forgetting to ask to a Muslim-looking dude if he eats pork is inconceivable, and saying Muslims can be dangerous is hate speech. The double standard is strong. As for the question, I'll keep another one for next week to not take too much of your time. How hypocritical do you think people can go when it goes about their signaling being good? A police dog got killed during the assault against terrorists in Paris yesterday, and people started tweeting, Je suis chien. I'm not pronouncing that right, I know. Which means I am dog, as in the equally ridiculous Je suis Charlie they did a few months back. How fucking pathetic and insincere it is above me. How do you explain that amount of hypocrisy and signaling? Well, like I said earlier, the liberal European mind is chaotic and arbitrary. They don't understand standards, they don't understand order. They don't understand reason. They know what order is, they know what standards are, but they don't understand why they're important. All they see when they see order and standard, they see a threat. So they will conduct themselves in any way that will compromise order and standard. This is what I don't understand about Christians. Because the Christian would say, well, they don't know what they're doing, they need to be forgiven. They don't understand that these people, as your coworkers, these sluts you work with, they don't understand that these people are demonic. They don't understand that these people are not capable of repentance. They are not capable of guilt. Like I said before, Jesus never said anything about loving God's enemies. And God has many, many enemies. And your country is full of them. My country, by virtue of its size, is full of them as well. More of them. Christians are like most people when it comes to a lot of things. Especially when it comes to being generally incapable of noticing evil, defining evil. Because there's a difference between evil and wild and untamed. For example, if you're on safari in Africa and you get attacked by a lion, you wouldn't say, that lion is evil. No, that lion isn't evil. You know what lions are capable of. They're wild, they are untamed. A lion sees a foreign entity in its region, unfamiliar. The unfamiliar is usually a threat and it acts accordingly. That's not evil, because with evil there's intent behind it. With evil, evil seeks to destroy good. Evil wants to compromise those who adhere to some sort of order, which is precisely what happened in your workplace. These are women who are incapable of repentance, therefore it would be unforgivable to forgive them. Next, what do you think of this god-awful flat earth drama that has been going around? The right was starting to piss me off already, with some of the big alt-right names pushing for buggery and the like. Hopefully that particular strain of autism will be irrelevant by this episode, but hell hath no fury like an angry spurg. Well, I don't really know anything about the flat earth drama because I don't follow it very closely. And the reason why I don't follow it very closely is because, like you said, the alt-right is more interested in putting on a leather daddy fashion show where they wear their waffen hats. They're more interested in satisfying their homosexual desire to play dress up. White nationalist Barbie is so fierce. And their favorite, white nationalist Ken, who thinks that the age of consent, being 14 in Germany, that's a great thing. Next, what's your opinion of Mormons? I ask this because they seem to be the only group of Christians in America who still value family and tradition over being good guys. And somebody, Uct had a good response to this. I can't speak for this because I'm not Mormon myself, but I'll read it because there's some insight, there's something backing this up. So I'll read it. As someone who grew up in the church from age 7 to 15, I can tell you they are good goys. Israel firsters are abundant. The whole gay marriage thing makes even the most conservative of them speak in hushed tones, since there's a huge divide. Don't get me started about how pathetic their whole acceptance of blacks was and continues to be. They have a magazine called Ensign, and last time I saw the cover, it was a multiculti good goy jizz fest. As for the people, it's just like every other group of people. Really nothing special. Lots of bullshit retards, genuinely nice people, two-faced fuckers, gossipers, helpful people, psychotics, schizos, perverts, etc. Most of the reason people find them so nice is because they're kept in their safe space literally their entire lives and are naive, or they're ignorant, or just very dumb. Very, very dumb. They usually go to college, and it's a shit show of normal filth. If you find a good branch, though, it might be worth it. But like all good things that never last, and you'll eventually see it for the Freemasonic good goy horseshit it is that eats your time, money, and energy, all while it slowly injects you with common liberal trends of today. Just my 2 cents. Well, usually the people who are closest to something have the ugliest perspective of it, so I think it's worth to take these words into consideration, but I can't speak for myself. I've never had any problems with Mormons, but it does seem like a lot of them are a bit naive with regard to how things actually are in the world, what impulses drive the common trends of today, and how evil they actually are. I don't think they have an understanding of it because I get the impression they've been shielded from it. And I shouldn't say shielded from it completely, because if you look on any website hashtag gay Mormon, you'll find a lot of shit, and it's disturbing. So they're shielded from all of the negative sides of things. They just think that everything's innocent, and it's just a choice, it's just an innocent thing, much like everybody else. They just think like, oh, it's just a slight deviation, nothing really behind it. It's just different, and we'll just leave it at that and not think about it, because thinking about it might lead to some uncomfortable conclusions that will have to bring us into action. But this kind of moral apathy, I don't think, is exclusive to Mormons. Mormons are overwhelmingly white, and where you'll find overwhelming whiteness, you will find overwhelming moral apathy. This notion of it's okay for you, but it's not for me. How fucking pathetic do you have to be to have that kind of attitude? Are you of such a low opinion of yourself that how you go about things you don't think is good for other people? Grow a spine. Pathetic. Anyway, next. Hi, Common Filth, longtime fan. Some of my most enjoyable moments are listening to your shows on a long drive home, and have finally been able to purchase all your works from Bandcamp after beginning my already rewarding journey in a trade. Please keep up the great work. Well, thank you very much for your support. In 2013, I was a typical, if they consent, I can't say anything about it, /open borders type libertarian with a weak Christian background in an evangelical rock concert type church. Well, that makes 2 of us, even though the timelines are a bit different. Around this time, I was employed by a very eloquent Republican in his small business, and we would listen to Rush Limbaugh and Michael Savage during lunch periods, and he would even debate me and pretty much wipe the floor with me. And it was through this that I questioned myself to the point that maybe I was wrong, and later became an Orthodox Christian. I'm now starting to read Spangler and Condreno. Not that I know where I'm going politically, but I know it's as far from leftism as I can get. During this time, I met a girl who was degenerate as I was, bisexual, pro-weed legalization, LGBT ally, atheist, daddy issues, you get the picture. Slowly over time, she somehow started to follow my transition of ideals, and while she still has some opinions I dislike, she now espouses many of the opinions I share, particularly my opinions on the satanic perversion of homosexuality, and is joining me in the church, and I am pretty happy. My question to you is, if a man is confident and a good leader, is it possible to turn a prospective woman who is degenerate into something worth starting a family with? Also, what is your favorite snack? Mine is Toll House pita chips. God bless you, and grant you many happy years. I like dates, and I like beef jerky. Those are the snacks that I like most right now. But your question, I think, is an age-old question. Can you turn a whore into a housewife? And this ties back somewhat to what I said earlier about evil versus wild and untamed. I would say that 99 times out of 100, girls who fit the description of the one you gave to me, they're evil. And saying that 1 out of 100 could be redeemed is generous. But if what you're saying is true, you found that 1 in 100. Probably more. And to be honest, I don't know how you'd tell the difference between the two. I really don't. If your intuition is good, and your intuition is telling you that this girl has morphed into somebody trustworthy, well, I think that her sins can be forgiven. If she seems to be repentant, she can be forgiven. But for the sake of honesty, if you were to ask me the question, hey, this girl is like this, should I pursue a relationship with her? I would have said no. I would have said no because of those overwhelming odds. But again, if things are really working out, if things are going the way they should, if you are doing the right things for the right reasons, and she seems to be following along with that program, I think that's a good thing. Next, to what do you attribute the amount of younger viewers you've received questions from? Do you currently have any feelings of impending doom for the West, or is it simply continued slow decline? Well, just from a practical standpoint, I do a lot of promotion of this channel through Facebook pages that were created long before this YouTube channel even existed. And a lot of young people get their entertainment from Facebook pages, and I don't have a problem with this. And I don't have a problem getting questions from younger viewers. I get a lot from them. My audience doesn't skew that young, surprisingly. I actually have a very large distribution of ages that tune in. But why young people have the urge to send me questions asking me for advice or perspective, I think it's a function of them not having anybody in their life that is capable of speaking in periods, ending their question in periods rather than question marks. Because I have very little patience for nuance and exceptions. And everyone who has children, it seems, they're chaotic. They think that every situation requires you to throw out the book completely of everything you already know and say, well, the situation is this, and, well, you have to consider this. And it's like, no, you need to make a decision. And the adults in the lives of these kids are incapable of making decisions. The adults in their life don't tell them, here's what's good, here's what's bad. There are no shades of gray. It's all black and white. Young people need that direction. They don't need nuance and subtlety and exceptions. They don't need to consider those things. They need to be set on a path and not deviate from it. And not consider the fact, well, it might be a mistake, it might be wrong. No. Like the guy who's sending me messages about his dumb fuck dad sleeping with some 18-year-old girl. You think the adults in his life are telling him that his dad is wrong, his dad is behaving irresponsibly? No, they're probably telling him, well, consider it from your dad's perspective. He's probably going through a difficult time too. Fuck that. You're going to give this kid who is going through very troubling and chaotic times more trouble and more chaos? Well, what else would I expect from the naive and neotenous? The morally apathetic. Next. Hey CF, I've recently found myself interested in Christianity again after years of being an edgy atheist. I was raised Catholic, but after all the corruption scandals and this most recent pope being an advocate of immigration and leftist economics, I don't think that I could go back to the Catholic Church. With so many mainstream Christian outlets seemingly desperate to appease the degenerate masses and comprise their core beliefs, I was hoping you could point me towards some Christian speakers, writers, thinkers you think are worth paying attention to. Thanks. I know a lot of people say that he's a shill, he's a fraud, whatever, but I haven't been able to find a one glaring flaw with what Brother Nathaniel has to say. And Brother Nathaniel, he was raised Jewish, he's an ethnic Jew, but he converted to Christianity and he makes YouTube videos. And a lot of his videos have to do with how secular international Jewry is destroying Christendom, and that's its goal. And I was recently sent a link to a presentation by Dr. James White, and I'll link to that below. It's on YouTube, and I thought that was really good as well. Okay, next. Why do you think most women nowadays are so opposed or afraid to have kids when they are physically and financially able to support them? Does the age-old excuse of, oh, it's too painful, ugh, really hold any water? Women are just followers of fashion. And what's the fashion? Wanton hedonism. Dead-end careerism. What? Temporary discomfort? Oh no, I heard it's painful, even though I have no real basis of understanding the pain myself, but I'm just gonna say it's really painful. But here's the other side of the question. Why would we want women who have this mentality to pass on their genes? Because half of their genes will move on to the next generation if they have children. Next. Found your channel a few weeks ago and have, as of now, listened to all of your content on YouTube. It's nice to hear another authentic Christian voice on the alt-right. Well, if I were wanting to belong to that, I would say thank you, but I don't want to. I always used to despise Christianity in my younger, edgier days. This was because the only Christianity I knew was the farce that passes for it nowadays, and I still resent that to this day. However, I have a strong, unshakable faith in our Lord and a serious interest in theology. Getting to the point of the question, my longtime girlfriend, who I intend to marry and have children with one day, is a good woman but is averse to Christianity. I've been working on that by showing her just how little she truly knows of it, and I think it's working. The more serious problem is her mother, who married a Jewish man, my girlfriend's stepfather, withdrew from the church when my girlfriend was young, and now has an extremely negative opinion of it. Both of them, mother and stepfather, are extremely liberal, suffer from masochistic white guilt, and worship Obama and Hillary. If we have children, this woman and her husband will unfortunately have some presence in their lives and would work hard to influence them against the truth. How'd you deal with such a situation? I should also mention that as far as they know, I'm a liberal Democrat. And as a result, I really have to bite my tongue whenever I am in their presence. My girlfriend is fully racially aware, sold on the JQ even, and is disgusted with liberals in general, and of course they don't know that either. It is hard to raise good, self-respecting children that have to shut their mouth around certain people, let alone their own grandparents. How do I protect my future children from the pause? I can tell that you want to avoid causing any grief with the parents of your girlfriend. Unfortunately, you are dealing with God's enemies. So what you need to do is put yourself in a position where you minimize your contact with them to nothing. They don't deserve to be entertained. They don't deserve to be convinced. They are disgusting pigs with no standards. Do you want to raise your child around people who are disgusting pigs with no standards? I understand that now is probably not the time to let them know you are pieces of shit. You are not welcome in my life. You're not welcome in my wife's life. You're not welcome in my daughter's life or son's life, whatever your child may be. The day will come eventually where you can and you will need to show your teeth. And even then, even with this in mind, you doing this will not protect your child, your future child, from becoming something you hate. Even if you put your child in the right school, where they won't be trained to hate their parents, where they won't be incentivized to hate their parents, even if you homeschool, there still won't be a guarantee because who's your girlfriend? Half of her mother is running through her veins. Her mother, her blood, quarter of that will be running through your child's veins. Now, I know you can't control that, but there are things you can control. And that's letting her parents know that they're not welcome to have any influence in this child's life. Next. ICF, hope you're doing well. I have a few more questions. As I look more and more into World War II and its relations to the current social issues, I seem to find more questions than answers. As far as Nazism goes, I'm well aware that they aren't nearly as bad as everyone makes them out to be. But it's hard finding solid information on them without bias interfering. I also know a few buddies who are not necessarily self-named Nazis, but they support their ideals as far as being against Judaism goes. And before I ask them for more information, I'm much more curious as to your opinion of the group, since you have, in my eyes, an ideal and holy morality. Well, I'm not perfect. And I don't claim to be. But thank you. As far as what you know about it, what is your opinion of Nazism? I know in episode 63 you said neo-Nazis were homosexuals or something to that regard. What about the political ideology itself? Do you know anything about Hitler's policies? Also, completely off topic somewhat, but I remember a few of my atheist friends and I were having a discussion, and we each asked each other the same question. What is your idea of a utopia? Well, I wanted to ask you the same. What's your personal vision of a perfect, realistic utopia? As for the Hitler-Nazi thing, the Judaism thing, I think I'm the first person to use this term. So I'm gonna throw it out there right now. This is called the Jewish question. And the question is this. The rabbi is selling this. And we know what this is. Pornography, open borders, multiculturalism, etc. We know the rabbi is selling, but who's buying? Who is accepting? Who is accepting, buying, in bulk, what the rabbi is selling? Overwhelmingly, it seems to be those white goyim, huh? Those white goyim just love institutionalized sodomy and sexual liberation. Liberation. Yeah, you're really free. You're free. Average 90 IQ moron. Ooh, I can come all I want. I could come. This is the best thing. This is what really matters in life. But I've listened to the audiobook version of Mein Kampf, and it's good. It is not the paranoid Jew ranting that everybody thinks it is. But Hitler was wrong. He was wrong about the Slavs, because Slavic countries, I think most people would argue, are the healthiest culturally in Europe. Now, we might not want to live in Slav countries. We might not understand why they do things, how they do things. We might not grasp their language. We might find it difficult to learn. But you know what? Slavic countries are still Slavic, which is more than you can say for any other European country. Hitler wanted to wake up and reunify the Germanic peoples. He knew they were morally apathetic, and he loved his people. And I can't blame him for this. He saw how dead and damaged spiritually his people were. He couldn't bear to see that. He tried to resuscitate it. He tried and he failed. But I am not a historian, so there's not much I can say beyond that. But what I can say, how successful have people been in trying to revive dead religions? And as for what utopia is, what I would want it to be, I don't want one. I don't want a utopia. What I want are decent people who can solve problems the right way for the right reasons when they occur. But we don't have that. I've been reading this book called Blue Highways, and it's about a guy just going through the back roads of America and writing about the people he comes across. He writes about the people he meets, the places he sees. And I read this, and it's a really good book, but I don't recognize any of it. I don't know what this America is like. I don't even know if it still exists. I don't know if decent, God-fearing people exist in any significant capacity. I don't. But reading this, I could see what it looks like. It's not glamorous, but it's functional. Next, I'll try to keep this short. Basically, I've been church shopping ever since I moved a few months ago. I found this one church that I was getting used to, up until today. The sermon was discussing the power of Christ's invitation for us to join the church, in comparison with our ability to invite a +1 to the service and possibly change many lives as a result. They then showed a testimonial video of one woman who invited 2 lesbian friends of hers, who in turn invited their married lesbian spouses, and who once again invited their lesbian spouses, for a total of 4 lesbian couples in this bizarre video. It's not that I have a problem with lesbian couples attending church, rather throughout the video there was a lot of, we're expecting twins soon, we have one on the way, we had our beautiful baby girl. There's an obvious fallacy here. These mothers in this homosexual deviancy are so delusional to the point that they are essentially role-playing the nuclear family. And a church that's supposed to guide families and give spiritual guidance decided to flaunt this. At the end of the video, a few people in the back of the church applauded, but the majority remained silent. My question to you is, am I rightly upset? Yes. Yes, you are. It's hard for me personally to want to go back, since I know that after that ordeal, the church will very likely never discuss human sexuality's role with God in the correct and only way, what the Bible says. As we know, what it says is clear. The straight, cis guilt from the LGBT progressives that I fight against on a daily basis almost have me thinking that I am a bigot for feeling this way. It's powerful, evil stuff. Thank you for reading. Would like to hear your thoughts. Why? What are they saying? They're just like you. You're just being irrational and homophobic, and that's wrong. It's like an alt-right meetup. These people are possessed by Satan. And why would you listen to what Satan has to say? Why would you believe what Satan has to say? I have given you countless examples of what this lifestyle leads to. And these examples are of things that have actually happened. And all anybody can say to me is, well, not all of them are like that. Which is just another word for, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I like getting invited to dinner parties, so I'm just gonna say that you're wrong because I'm uncomfortable with the conclusion you have made. So, my advice to you, leave this church, get this church out of your life, get every single one of these people out of your life that's making you feel like a terrible bigot. You are dealing with diseased pigs with no standards. Seems to be a common theme in this show. You are dealing with people who bring nothing but chaos, who bring nothing but grief, who bring nothing but dishonesty wherever they go.